Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is Richard Durazo once again. Today's video is another basic, essential need that I think most people should be able to do. Basically, I recently have broken a string on my favorite Charvel guitar here. It's pretty much a souped-up Stratocaster. And today I'm just going to take the time and actually change out all the strings and show you guys step-by-step process of it. Pretty quick. You don't even really need any tools. I just like to have a couple on me. So basically all I'm using today is this string winder along with a string clipper from D'Addario and some D'Addario strings. Now these ones are 9 through 42s, I want to say. Yep, 9 through 42. Basically, the string tension, it will actually affect the way you play, the way the strings sound, just ever so slightly. But it especially affects the setup. And with these Charvel guitars, they actually have a floating bridge, which means, I don't know if you can hear that very well, but it goes up and down. So because this bridge is floating, you have to make sure the string tension is exactly where you need it to be. Otherwise, it slips out pretty easily, and honestly, when I got this thing, it slipped out pretty easily anyway. Slipped out of tune, I mean. So, luckily for this guitar, we have something known as actual locking tuners. What this means is all I really have to do is loosen it a little bit at the top here. From there, I could unlock the tuner on this side. It's like a little wheel that when you spin, makes it extremely easy to get the actual string out. A lot of modern guitars come with locking tuners, and they are especially good at changing your strings quickly. I'm just going to record this whole video to see how long it takes me to do this. Next thing, it's easier with the type of back piece when you have something like this to make sure you clip the edges of your strings. That way they don't get caught on the way out. If you notice, this has quite a bit of a hook. Now what will happen when you're trying to push it through the actual bridge portion, the hook could get caught and actually scratch up your guitar a little bit. Instead, once we trim that hook off, it's just a straight line, comes out real quick. Some people like to save their strings, some people like to make art and make bracelets out of it. I'm just going to throw mine away. It's pretty easy. Now, if you are brave and you like hearing the sound of strings snapping, you could just go through, cut them all up. Like so. Bring them back through the edge of the bridge. And once again, the point of cutting off that tip is to make it easier for you to actually get the strings out of the back and eliminate any possibility of damaging the insides. One thing I notice, once you trim all the strings, immediately the bridge gets pulled by the springs inside. So this bridge is now basically, if it was flat, it'd be going this way. So when you try to push the strings out the back, it actually takes a little longer. You might have to re-angle it. Or if you really wanted, you could put the tremolo back in. You could put the whammy bar, whatever you want to call it. And if you just push it ever so slightly, it'll realign the bridge or realign the back so you can easily get these strings out. Now look, if you look closely, it's straight. If you let the bridge go, it slips up. So that's why I have this in and I'm pushing slightly down on it. If you can see my finger here. That way, it's easier to actually remove the strings. Otherwise, you're basically pushing it against the back of itself and it kind of gets caught. Once again, I'm just going to wind these up real quick and get rid of them. Pretty simple. Next, we are going to untighten a lot of these locking tuners, just so I can get the hooks out, or the edge of the string. Pretty fast. This guitar is now completely unstrung. Now, one of the things I like to take the time to do at this point, you'll notice when you play your guitar a lot, when you play any instrument a lot, you start to accumulate some grime in the neck of the instrument. So I just take a microfiber cloth, and then you could put a little bit of water, depending on what your guitar neck is made out of. You could just go and scrub off these little specks, these little leftovers of your dead flesh. That's it's more brutal than I wanted it to sound. But that's essentially what it is. It's dead skin you've left on your neck of your guitar. Unless, of course, you play with extremely dirty fingers, which is something people can do, I suppose. And I'm just giving it a quick wipe down. The more you play, the more this grime will build up. And you just want to make sure you brush it off, because it will affect your strings, it might affect your sound, it'll definitely affect the feel of your fretboard. And I'm just doing a quick job of this, trying to see how fast I could change these guitar strings. Next, we're going to take one of our packs, open it up in a nice, civilized way. Now with these strings, every tip, I don't know how well you can see that. Let me adjust the lighting. The lighting is not getting any better. Ha! We'll worry about it later. Anyway, the point was, with these strings, they have different beads at the end, or different colors. Basically, you're going to want to make sure the color you're using is the correct color for your string. I am assuming everybody has basic knowledge of guitar strings. I hope that's a safe assumption. And I don't think there's an easier way to do this. And then we're just going to go one string at a time. String it in through the back portion of your guitar. This is only for, once again, Strat type models. We're going to put the string right in through here. And one sec. Oh, I accidentally pulled out the bridge. I'm going to pause this video and fix this real quick. Alright, so as I have just mentioned, I accidentally took off the bridge of my guitar, which is a cool educational thing for today's video. That was not what I had planned, but I guess it's what's happening now. So because of this, I have taken off the back plate of my guitar. I write my name on my guitar's back plate just in case it ever goes missing. Cool tip for you guys. Basically, on these type of guitars, we have springs that are holding our bridge in place. Now, if you wanted to add more springs, it would make your bridge more stable. A lot of people actually take the time to basically block off their guitar's tremolo system just to add more stability. I am a fan of tremolo, so I do not do this. Now, if we can see here, these little corks in the back are actually where we catch our springs. Now then, I have never done this before, which is something I say in a lot of my videos. This doesn't get planned, it just kind of happens. I'm going to take off the actual trim system, just so it lays a little better, a little flatter. Next, I'm going to get this hooked. A lot of this is off camera. So, basically, I'm going to get my bridge, make sure it's upside right side up, get it locked into here. Then I'm going to take the time to take my springs one at a time and make sure they are connected to the bridge. Got one. Next, we're going to take the next spring, put it into one of these little sockets, and just extend it back. You want to make sure it's all the way in, and we got two. Now we're going to take the last spring, and same process. Just get it hooked into this little socket, and three. Perfect. That is a lot harder when you have strings on the guitar. And would you know, our bridge is back and in stable condition. Now, let's hope you don't have to do that. That's a fun lesson. I'm going to take the time, put my back plate back on in a little while. But for visual purposes, why don't we just leave it off for now? Now then, just so you can get an inner working of how this actually goes, we are going to take our string, go ahead and put it through one of these holes here, and this hole is literally your bridge. So when it comes through this side, it goes through over here, and if you look closely, you can see it right here. That is actually not where I wanted it. Remember, it is inverted when you're doing this. Same thing. And then, with the locking tuners, it's pretty easy to do. We're just going to stick it through our actual tuning machine's little hole right up here. Pretty easy. Make sure you get it nice and tight. Then we're going to go back here, tighten up this locking tuner mechanism, and there you got it. The string's now going to be in place. You don't have to wind it and wind it and wind it and wind it. Just a couple twists, and it'll start making sound. Now then, another fun thing about this type of bridge, until you get all the strings on, it won't have enough tension to actually make the right sound. Basically, this is being cut off right here because it's not high enough. It's not being pulled forward enough. It doesn't have enough tension from the strings to actually balance out the bridge, which is one of the fun things. I'm going to go ahead, pause the video now, finish stringing up my guitar, and then show you guys the finished product. Okay, so I now have all the strings on, given they all have some slack. Now for the final step, I'm going to make sure this bridge is leveled out. So that I can successfully tune this guitar. And basically you want to do this a couple strings at a time. With a floating bridge, the tension on it, it's a bit bizarre. You listen to that, they're all just kind of snapping on it. Now then, I'm going to be a little wild with this. Alright, so it took some doing, but I finally got the bridge back on right. I got the strings on right. The last thing I'm doing is trying to actually tune this up. Now one of the things about one of these type of bridges, basically as I tune up, the other strings will go slightly off. Because as one note gets adjusted to the bridge, the entire thing changes. So tuning may involve tuning up 3 or 4 or 5 times. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm going to consider this video a fail. Alright, that's it for today's video, folks. I'm just going to call it How Not to Change the Strings on a Guitar. It'll be posted in a second. Thank you all for watching. My name is Richard Durazo. I promise it doesn't always go this horribly, but you know, sometimes it will. And what can you do when it does? Just keep on going. I'll see y'all again soon.